been saying.
Here's Christine Milne now. Let's have a listen to this.
We've had whistleblower legislation finally come in. We've also got finally legislation to set up the asbestos agency to oversee the strategic plan. All of these things people have been campaigning for a long time, and the selfish backroom boys were going to jeopardise a whole lot of progressive reform. Well, the Greens are not going to see this progressive reform jeopardised. We are not going to put the one-trick pony at the middle of the circus, and that is Tony Abbott. What we are going to do is stick with delivering these reforms and call on progressive voters around the country to get behind the Greens, because we are united, we are strong, we're ready to take it up to them, and frankly,
yeah, apologies, we just got some problems with that link there from Christine Milne, the Greens leader, but clearly the Greens will be comfortable and happy with this outcome this afternoon. Of course, we should remember that Christine Milne tore up the government agreement with Julia Gillard and with the Labor government earlier this year. OK, we got that link back. Let's just listen a little more.
Wilkie in particular, and it's down to the fact that Rupert Murdoch had a big win over the Parliament with the decision of Andrew Wilkie not to support the reforms, and that has meant they have not passed. But overwhelmingly, minority government, shared power, has delivered a range of really positive outcomes. We've delivered the National Disability Insurance Scheme, more particularly we've delivered the Clean Energy Package. There have been a lot of solid reforms. The people letting down the side in terms of a shared balance of power is in fact the backroom and factional politics of the Labor Party. No one can believe just how badly they are handling things within the party, and people are going to be saying, you are jeopardising so many good things for this country, just stop it.
Julia Gillard gets to go to an election now, given all of these events today. Would you support a no-confidence motion?
Why would I want to put Tony Abbott into this Parliament and we don't have a fair funding model for Gonski, for example? Why would I want to put him there and see New Start recipients not receive more money? Why would I want to advance Tony Abbott's cause when we don't have protection for whistleblowers, when we need the asbestos agency to be set up? We have been working for so many reforms. The government has dragged its feet, but we want these reforms through this Parliament before the election, and we are going to work to deliver them. I can't tell you, right across the country, everywhere I go, people say, when are we going to get the Gonski funding model through? We are desperate. We've been waiting for reform of public education funding for so long. When are we going to get it? Well, I'm going to deliver it. I am not going to put Tony Abbott into the Parliament in order to prevent public school students across the country getting some more money. That would be wrong.
So you will still guarantee support and confidence. Sorry, confidence and supply, I should say.
What we are going to do is put our shoulders to the wheel and encourage every other progressive voter around the country to get behind the Greens and deliver in the rest of this Parliament the progressive reforms that we know the country needs and that people want. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to give a single moment of comfort to Tony Abbott. What we are going to do is deliver these reforms, and we are calling on the Labor Party backroom boys, for goodness sake, get out of the way and let this Parliament deliver the good things that the country wants.
But it sounds like you don't have faith in Labor. If you don't have faith in Labor, why should the public?
Well, I think what we've got around the country is a lot of people who are waiting for these reforms. You know, Labor got into power in 2007 and said they were going to address the inequitable funding model for education. Right now, at the last gasp of this Parliament, we still have an opportunity to deliver it, and I intend to be part of delivering that. We have delivered on addressing climate change. We've brought $10 billion into renewable energy, and that starts to roll out the door on the 1st of July. Do I want to jeopardise billions going into renewable energy? No, I don't. Do I want to maintain the renewable energy target? Absolutely. I don't want to bring the wind industry to its knees. So this is actually about the ramifications of what happens if you race to put Tony Abbott into the lodge. That's not what the Greens are going to do. We are going to actually harness the support of progressive voters around the country and get these reforms through.
So you're confident the election will still be September 14?
I am working towards a September the 14 deadline. My particular focus is this budget, because I want to see in this budget the money to put $50 a week into the pockets of those on New Start. In this year's budget, I want to see Labor deliver on Gonski. We have to actually move forward on these reforms. That's exactly what we said we would do, and I want that delivered. That is my focus.
Julia Gillard says she can move on after her victory in the caucus today. Do you believe her?
It's up to the Labor Party as to whether they can get their act together and get behind the leadership team that they have chosen. That's an internal matter for them. I just think that Labor actually ought to apologise today to all of the people who came to the Parliament, were watching around the country, in the apology to the forced adoptions, the people impacted by forced adoptions. I have to say it was incredibly moving this morning. It was a day in which the whole Parliament should have been proud, and in fact people were proud as they sat and watched that, and I think the backroom boys should be apologising to people who travelled a long way, for whom this day meant a great deal, and have now had it overshadowed and undermined by the games that Labor has played in the back rooms. It's unacceptable. Progressive voters don't like it, don't want it. They will be really relieved that there is still a government in place that can deliver reform, and I'm saying that the Greens are here to absolutely deliver that reform.
Senator Milne, with respect though, you do have one vote on the crossbench, and it now appears that disenchantment is growing on the crossbench. Are you worried that before the election this government could collapse?
I think the crossbench vote today was on a suspension of standing orders rather than on a substantive motion. I think there is very clearly an opportunity for the rest of the crossbench to reflect on their own position. Where the Greens are coming from is to say we won't advance Tony Abbott one iota. We want to see the reforms that have long been promised actually come to pass. I worked with Rob Oakeshott and Tony Windsor and of course my colleague Adam Bandt to deliver $10 billion into renewable energy. We worked very hard to achieve those outcomes, and I don't believe the other crossbenchers want to jeopardise any of that. But that's up to them. From the Greens' point of view, we are saying to all those progressive voters around the country who are thinking tonight, what would we lose if Tony Abbott were to get into the Lodge tomorrow? We're saying to those people, get behind the Greens now, because we intend to deliver. We want to work with the government to actually get money into public schools, to get money into the pockets of people on Newstart, to make sure that the marine parks are delivered. There are so many things waiting to go through in the next couple of months, and we want to shepherd them through.
Just on that, can you tell us why the Greens did vote to support suspend standing orders? What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, do you want to...
Yeah, look, generally in the Parliament we haven't given Tony Abbott any support in his political stunts. There are routine suspensions from moved by Tony Abbott. And they had a couple of people out of the chamber because they were paired. They were never going to get this motion up. It was a stunt. And we're not going to do anything to advance Tony Abbott's cause. That's not why I'm in Parliament.
Christine, can I just ask how you would sum up the events that we've seen this afternoon?
Well, the events of today have been a complete shambles. In political history, I've never known a day like it. I don't think many people who've covered politics or been involved in politics for a long time will have seen such a day. And that is really a reflection of the mess that the Labor Party is in terms of its factional backrooms, the egomaniacs in the party who are trying to position themselves rather than thinking about what's good for the country. You only have to step back one step and go into schools and talk to teachers, go into communities and talk to people on Newstart. Go there and talk to the campaigners who've been working on the marine parks around the country, and they're all saying, how can these people jeopardise those reforms that we have all worked so hard to achieve? What do they think they're doing? And I hope that all those progressive voters will be getting onto those Labor Party backroom boys and say, stop it. It's really time that you got down and actually delivered these reforms. And I think today people will be looking at the Greens and saying, at least the Greens are united. They're out there forcefully campaigning for these reforms. And I'm urging people to get behind us because we intend to deliver.
The progressive vote is being hurt by events like today's. This is going to, if the polls are correct,